The collapse of altcoins, quantum risks, the battles between Kalshi and PolyMarket, as well as the announcement of the commentary about the history of Bitcoin. We have a lot to discuss today, but before we get to the news, let's take a look at current prices. After a prolonged decline, Bitcoin was able to find at least some support at $69,000 and rebounded to $71,000, while forming some kind of uptrend. Whether growth awaits us or whether it's just a flag pattern before further decline is not clear just yet, but personally I will refrain from trading for today. Ethereum is sitting at $2,136, and to be honest, it won't look optimistic just yet, taking into account that I don't know the pattern that has formed. And here I also will refrain from trading. But now let's take a look at the news and try to figure out what awaits us next. Altcoin trading volumes slump 80%. A new day is a new batch of sad statistics for altcoins. Daily trading volumes on Binance have collapsed by 80% from their peak value and now amount to $7.7 billion. The Dark Forest analyst notes that previous bursts of activity coincided with the phases of FOMO when smart money was released on high demand and investors simply stopped being interested in altcoins, and this is a classic bearish phase. But there is also a ray of hope. Bitcoin grew by 1.5% and jumped to $71,200, and analysts are starting to whisper about the bottom, although as far as I'm concerned, it's too early. CryptoQuant's CryptoDan points to the realized price and profit loss metrics, which are now just above the level of past lows. Glassnode has recorded that the share of Bitcoins in the black has risen to 60%, and this is typical for the initial stages of recovery. And sales for long-term holders have shown what one ACK called a potentially constructive signal. And the main test is to hold the support level above $70,000. If possible, the road to $78,000 to $82,000 corridor is open. Altcoins, meanwhile, are hanging in wait. How to lose $760,000 in just 4 days. If you think that buy high, sell low is purely your strategy, then heck to the no. Do you remember that mysterious Ethereum developer 0xBilly who bought $17.5 million at a price of $2,248 last week? So he woke up last night with a clear understanding: we need to sell everything. And the result, 5,571 Ethereum went for $2,111. So in 4 days, the net loss was $760,000. A direct illustration of the fact that even old whales sometimes fall into the trap of their own FOMO. This weekend, the first premiere of my full-fledged documentary video will take place on this very channel. For 5 months, my team and I have been collecting all the facts to tell you that incredible story of Bitcoin from the date it was created to the present day. This is not just another video about pizza for 10,000 Bitcoins. This is a 1.5-hour movie that you will not only learn the story, but also understand what really influenced the price in the past and what to expect in the future. In general, subscribe so you don't miss it. And here's the trailer.
We're now down 43%.
They're saying this is the craziest day they have ever seen.
This is the most significant financial crisis in the post-war period.
What in the world is happening on Wall Street?
It's so horrible.
But veteran traders saying they've never seen anything like it.
This could be the most serious recession in decades.
Bitcoin is a new virtual currency.
We have invested an aggregate $1.5 billion in Bitcoin.
Bitcoin now a legal currency in El Salvador.
Investors can get exposure to the world's largest cryptocurrency.
The United States will be the crypto capital of the planet and the Bitcoin superpower of the world, and we'll get it done.
L2 networks with $100K plus TVL shrink as Ethereum faces market shakeover. The Ethereum ecosystem is quietly going through the great purge of L2 networks. Since June 2025, the number of second-tier solutions with TVS above $100,000 has decreased from 108 to 100, taking into account the launches. And that is 21 projects were closed, including Katana, LaserNet, Pepe On-Chain, Mutable X, and a dozen more exotic names. Growth Epi analysts call this consolidation and note that the number of Ethereum implications has also dropped from a peak of 639 to 490. At the same time, activity in dApps has increased. It's just that the market leaders have taken over the entire audience now. And this is just the beginning. Vitalik Buterin stated back in February that original L2 concept was outdated and he proposed a new development model. While Ethereum is hanging around $2,200 and it is being traded by the same old wolves, the ecosystem is cutting the deadwood. On one hand, it is painful for those who invested in another innovative L2. On the other hand, a healthy market clears its own space for growth. The main thing is that they do not close something really important in the process. Kalshi gets $1 billion in new $22 billion funding round. So the Kalshi platform raised $1 billion in a new round and is now valued at $22 billion, overtaking PolyMarket, which has a capitalization of $9 billion, although they also aim for $20 billion. Kalshi's previous round in December gave an estimate of $11 billion, meaning the value doubled in 3 months. And this round was led by Couch Management and last time Paradigm, Sequoia, and A16Z entered. Serious guys seem to believe that betting on just about anything or everything is the future. In terms of trading volume in February, both leaders together raised $18 billion, and in March, which has not just ended yet, they already raised $13.2 billion. Interestingly, PolyMarket is ahead in terms of normal turnover, $63.9 billion versus $53.6 billion. But Kalshi is in the lead in terms of open interest for $186 million. At the same time, PolyMarket has entered into an exclusive partnership with MLB. Now they will monitor the integrity of the games in order to avoid scandals as last year when pitchers were caught on bribes for certain pitches. And in general, the prediction market is gaining momentum, attracting billions and trying to become legal and transparent. Bitcoin's quantum threat is real, but far from an existential crisis, Galaxy says. Alex Thorne, a head of the research department, admits that theoretically, quantum computer can calculate a private key from a public one, but the scenario is still very, very far away. And yes, about 7 million bitcoins may be vulnerable, those whose public keys have already been disclosed due to the free use of addresses or old wallet formats. But the bulk of assets are safe. The main thing is that developers do not sit idly by. They are already working on a new type of addresses with post-quantum cryptography and discussing mechanisms to gradually limit the spending of dormant bitcoins. Thorne emphasizes quantum computing is a powerful technology, but that doesn't mean every risk is immediate or uncontrollable. The open architecture of Bitcoin allows the network to adapt long before a potential crisis, so maybe Willy Woo with his forecast of releasing 4 billion bitcoins to the market after the hack just added fuel to the fire, but the fire turned out to be not so terrible. And that's all the news for today, and I will see you next time. Bye!